A warm good evening to all of you. Welcome to Unacademy's YouTube channel. Let's crack UPSC CSC English. Am I audible, all of you? Let me check. Yeah. Okay. I felt there are some technical issues. Yes, we are live. So, welcome to Unacademy's YouTube channel. Let's crack UPSC CSC English. As part of our complete coverage of geography, we will be continuing the sessions now. So, as part of that, we'll be discussing about geomorphic movements today, a very important topic called geomorphic movements. So this is about me, few lines. I have done my MSc Geography from University of Madras. Those are some of the lines which are not here. And then there are so many other things. A few lines about me, Venkatesh Mani, myself in the passionate about teaching for civil services. And coming to Unacademy's learning platform, it is the largest learning platform available online. Once you get subscribed to this, what will you get? What are the things which you'll get? You'll get access to daily live classes which are in tune with the UPSC syllabus, right? Access to daily live classes which are in tune with the UPSC syllabus, which are that way it becomes organized and structured. The kind of interactivity is pretty much high. We'll get daily live tests and quizzes regularly, which are much more interactive in nature, helping you for your evaluation. Your evaluation will be good. That will help you to understand where do you stand. You will get unlimited access to all the live and the recorded courses, which you can watch at the comfort of any of your devices. And the kind of flexibility which you get is pretty high. Flexibility is very high. Okay. So the flexibility, how is the flexibility? You can watch a single video. For example, if there is a topic which is very difficult to watch, you can watch n number of times. You can watch n number of times. Okay, that is the flexibility. You can watch it anytime at your comfort level. There is so much time which you will be covering once you go for a online subscription course, right? And you'll get unlimited access watching n number of times of not just one course but all the courses of all the educators like this. So every educator courses will be available for you. So this is one of the unique things. So when you subscribe using my code VG10, you are subscribing not just to my own courses but all the courses of all the educators, and these are the courses here available. My dear friends, one more important thing, you also have a batch course which is much more unique, much important one for especially for the people who are in their early stages of UPSC preparation, where batch courses where the entire syllabus will be discussed in an organized fashion. Entire syllabus will be discussed in a organized fashion. This also will be available. You can see everything in an organized fashion. You also have some other courses here. And coming to the subscriptions, you have a range of options from 1 month to 24 months. But we would suggest you to go for always for the long term ones because of the simple reasons of the time taken for clearing this exam. Any person has taken a minimum of 2 to 5 years. Because of that, we always suggest you to go for long term packages and get your basics right get your wherever you are standing. For example, the first 6 to 8 months, 10 months basics will be covered very significantly for you, and then you will go to the higher end topics. So to get the everything right from basic, higher level topics, everything right, you also need time. That is the reason why we would suggest you to go for long term packages, so that you'll be having complete awareness of all these things, and you can use my code VE10 to get around 10% discount. Not just that, for your convenience, there are so much you will get along with the discount of 44,000. Using my code VE10, you will get 39,600, and this also you can pay with no cost EMIs. So all the credit cards are usually more or less available, and even debit card, I think HDFC is available. You can check it. So no cost EMIs is also available. That's what you see. No cost EMI available for 6, 12 and 24 month subscriptions. So you can pay it very you can pay it across the years, across the months. You can pay it across the months, 6, 12, 24 month subscription. You can pay it for 9 months, 12 months, 6 months. Thereby you are distributing your investment. This is an investment, my dear friends. And similarly, 24 months, if you use my code VE10, 64,000 will become 57,600. So these are the things available. That's it about it. So we'll start with geomorphic processes now. Yes, welcome to all of you once again. Yes, welcome Srihari, Mastan. Oh, some new name, Devaputra Hanuman. Welcome to all of you. So we will start now with geomorphic processes. So this is a very important topic, my dear friends. A very important topic. Let us discuss this in detail. Geomorphic processes. Now what is this geomorphic processes and all these things? Yes, LS Raghupati, hi. Yeah, before that, one of the important thing, LS, are you live? Yes. So as part of my things, I'm regularly chatting with, discussing with you, chatting sometimes with some of the people who are regularly uh, listening to my classes. So LS, call me after the end of today's session. I think you'll be having my number, right? So call me on this. I'm trying to interact with every student at least one per day. So I'll be trying to contact to as many people as possible. So that I wanted to know how are you preparing in all these things. This is the only way which I can make interactive, right? Then, so this is a topic, a very important topic in the sense to understand the geomorphology. Geomorphic processes are very important. So let us discuss what are they. So what are geomorphic processes and all? Let us discuss that. Just a minute. So what do you mean by geomorphic, my dear friends? What do you mean by geomorphic? Tell me, this word geomorphic means what? Earth structure. Geomorphic means earth structure. Okay, to a certain extent, yes. Right. You see, in the last session, we have discussed about the interior of the earth. In the last few sessions, we have discussed about interior of the Earth, like where is crust, asthenosphere, mantle, core, and we have seen how the rocks within that are moving out in the interior of the Earth. How there are forces, right? Like endogenetic forces, plate tectonics theory. We have discussed continental drift. We have clearly identified that the crust is moving. It has moved, and it is moving vertically and horizontally in multiple directions. As the earth crust is dynamic, we are trying to understand how this dynamic nature is moving. The dynamic nature movement is what we'll be discussing right now. So geomorphic relates to nothing but it relates to form of the earth. So what is geomorphic, my dear friends? Geomorphic, nothing but form of the earth's surface, landscape rather, form of the earth's surface, or rather in simple way, form of landscapes. So geomorphic means form of the landscape. Geomorphic agents means which are ones which are helping the landscapes. So with things like rivers, glaciers, all are the geomorphic agents. And geomorphic movement processes means multiple things. We will discuss that. So what is geomorphic processes? It deals with physical and chemical processes that take place on the earth's surface. It deals with the physical and chemical processes that take place on the earth's surface. So geomorphic processes here, it is nothing but dealing with physical and chemical processes that take place on the earth's surface. So geomorphic means we have discussed just now. It is about landscape of the earth. Geomorphic processes means physical and chemical processes that take place on the earth's surface. Geomorphic movements means large scale physical and chemical changes that take place on the earth's surface due to geomorphic processes. Are you getting this? Today's chapter is about geomorphic movements. If I instead of writing geomorphic movements in a simple way, what can I write? I can write it as Earth's movements. What can I write? I can write it as Earth's movements. Okay. So there is some technical issue. I think you can watch me live right now, right? Right. Okay. So these geomorphic movements are nothing but large scale physical and chemical changes that takes place on the earth's surface due to geomorphic processes. Please understand this. This is the things. In simple way, I can simply say earth's movements. Anything which is movement which is occurring on the interior of the earth or on the earth's surface, we call this as earth movements or geomorphic movements, which are shaped by the processes within the form of the earth, geomorphic processes. So once again I am telling you, please understand what is geomorphic. It relates to form of the earth. Geomorphic means form of the earth. Geomorphic agents means agents which are helping the removing, for example, all the erosional activities like a glacier, like a wind, like a river, all the things, mediums which are acting and depositing the earth materials are called as geomorphic agents. Geomorphic processes are physical processes, chemical processes, everything which is taking place on the earth's surface, which are acting because of forces called endogenetic and exogenetic, all cause geomorphic process. Geomorphic movements are the physical and chemical changes which take place on the Earth's surface due to this physical and chemical processes. So what ultimately the Earth is moving. Now what you are trying to know? We are trying to understand that. See, in the previous sessions, what it is. In the last class, we have discussed about how is the interior of the Earth. How is the interior of the Earth? We have discussed about it. How is the Earth crust is dynamic. How it has moved and moving vertically and all these things. And we have also discussed that sometimes the Earth's crust is moved faster and now it is moving slow. Like that, there are more many variations. Whatever it is happening because of internal forces of which are operating in the interior of the Earth. Okay, so moving forward, so what you need to know, the differences in the internal forces operating within the Earth which built up the crust have been responsible for variations in the outer surface of the crust. Now, we know that the Earth's surface is continuously shaped by different forces. What are the two forces we have? Endogenetic and exogenetic forces. These continuous forces of endogenetic and exogenetic forces are shaping the different geomorphic processes. Please understand, the different forces of endogenetic and exogenetic are shaping the geomorphic processes. And we see the surface is being continuously subjected to external forces which are induced by sunlight, energy, and there are also internal forces which are active from the end. So the Earth's surface, which is very dynamic, it is subjected to forces on the interior of the Earth and forces on the exterior of the Earth also. Exterior of the Earth's surface means in the atmosphere. So there are forces within the Earth's atmosphere and there are also forces within the internal forces. Both are shaping the Earth, which is making the dynamic nature of the Earth. The dynamic nature of the Earth. Are you getting, my dear friends? Are you able to understand? So, what are the two forces we have studied in terms of geomorphology? We have studied that geomorphology, the two forces which impact the movements of the Earth's surface are endogenetic forces and exogenetic forces. These two forces, what are they? Endogenetic forces. What are these forces? These forces are forces which are coming from within the Earth are called endogenetic forces. What are endogenetic forces? The forces which are coming within the Earth are called endogenetic forces, and these act inside the Earth's crust. What do they do? They act inside the Earth's crust. The objective of these forces is to create various relief features on the Earth's surface. What is the objective of these forces? Is to create various relief features on the Earth's surface. And relief here means, I told you in the previous session, relief means the height. Relief means simply the height. Relief means height. With respect to mean sea level, differences of heights of different places on Earth is called relief. Now, what are endogenetic forces? Please understand two things only here. Endogenetic forces, forces which are coming from the interior of the Earth are called endogenetic forces. They act inside the Earth's crust. And what is the objective of these forces? Is to create various relief features on the Earth. That means the height, the Earth is not stable. It is always subjected to forces, and the Earth is not constant. It is why a certain region has more mountains, why a certain region has more plains. Please you let me know, why do the India's northern part is more having more mountains, more rugged topography? What I'm trying to say, why do you have India's northern part having more rugged topography, and why do we have around the areas of the central part, why you are having a plain region? So what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to say why India has rugged topography of mountains, different varieties of mountain chains of Himalayas. of Greater Himalayas, Lesser Himalayas, Sivaliks in the north, and why we have plains underneath it. So certain regions, what we are trying to say? We are trying to say that certain regions we are having mountains, certain regions we are having plateaus, certain regions we are having plains. What is the reason for that? The reason is each region is subjected to certain variety of forces. The forces where endogenetic forces are more, where we will be finding more rugged topography. Please remember, the forces where you find more endogenetic forces, you will find rugged topography. The forces where you find more endogenetic forces, we have rugged topography. And the endogenetic forces of these things, we will discuss this in detail now. Endogenetic forces are diastrophic forces, epiorogenetic and orogenetic forces. There are also sudden forces which are acting from the interior of the earth, which will help in volcanic eruption and earthquakes. And we will discuss this in detail, how these create the future landforms on the earth's surface now. And then there are also exogenetic forces. These are external forces originating from the earth's atmosphere. Their objective is to destroy the relief features on the earth's surface. What is their objective? Objective is to destroy the relief features. So please remember, exogenetic forces originating from the earth's atmosphere. What do they do? Destroy the relief features. That means endogenetic forces are creating the relief, creating the height on the earth's surface. Exogenetic forces are destroying them. Hence, these are called as what? Denudational process or destructional processes. What do they are called as? Denudational processes or destructional processes. And they act through what? They act through weathering, erosional and depositional activities. They act through everything. They act through weathering. What is weathering? Physical disintegration of rock particles. Disintegration of rock particles is called weathering. It could be because of physical, chemical or biological. For example, the rocks are continuously subjected to what? They will be subjected to heat of the earth's surface, sunlight, and the rock's particles also will expand and contract by sunlight changes. As the rock particles also expand and contract by sunlight changes, the rock will disintegrate. What is weathering? Weathering refers to disintegration of the rock particles because of elements of weather. We will discuss that in detail later on. As of now, you try to understand that. Now, because of endogenetic forces, there is already the earth's surface, the relief is created on the earth's surface. That means mountains, plateaus, everything has been formed. Once these are formed, what is happening there? Once the rock, for example, imagine because of interior of the earth's surface, this is the earth's surface. Because of the interior, there is a mountain which is created. Now, once this mountain is created, this mountain is subjected to sunlight changes every day, day and night, and it is also subjected to changes between summer and winter. So over a period of thousands of years, any kind of hard rock will slowly disintegrate because the rock particles will be expanding by heating and from contracting by cooling. Now once the rock particle disintegrates, what happens? Now you see here. Now here, imagine there is a rock particle here. This started disintegrating. One, it has a big rock disintegrated into minor rocks. Now what happens? Now there is gravitation. Because of this gravitation, these rock particles will slowly start moving because of gravitation. And there might be a river, there might be wind, which will be taking part of these rocks from the mountain towards the plateaus and the plains. How do you find, say for example, how did you find something like a delta in West Bengal, and where you get the deposition of these elements? What is a delta? Delta is found by deposition of a river. Where are they getting the materials? The material is getting from a river, and river is eroding here. So this is what you call geomorphic processes. What is geomorphic processes? Physical and chemical things which are occurring on the earth surface. Is it not physical and chemical? This is more physical, but I only gave the example with respect to sunlight, which is physical in nature. What about chemical reactions? What is chemical reaction, sir? Chemical reactions are, now this rock, whenever there is rainfall, it will be absorbing the water molecules. Now the water molecules of the rock and the water molecules and the molecule of H2O, they also start reacting chemically. That also will disintegrate the rock. That is also called chemical reweathering. So everything, physical and chemical things which are destructing the mountain, which is called weathering. Once the weathering is there, what is happening? It is a precondition. It is actually making for erosion to occur. And once erosion occurred, we are depositing. This combined process of weathering, erosion and deposition is called denudation. This combined process of weathering, erosional and depositional is called what? Denudation. Am I clear, Anil, now? Anil Kumar, what is denudation? Combined process of weathering, erosion and deposition is called denudation. Okay, so this is what exogenetic forces now. Now, what are the exogenetic forces are there? Different climatic regions have different exogenetic processes. Temperature and precipitation are two important climatic elements that control the various processes. They bring changes in the landforms by external agents like water, air, glacier, sea wave, underground. In the last sessions, we will discuss about, in the continuation this week, we will discuss about landforms formed by water, air and all these things. We will discuss how these exogenetic forces operate. Different climatic regions have different exogenetic processes, because now that I have told you, the climate is varying across the world, right? There are regions like tropical evergreen forests where there is more rainfall. When there is more rainfall, chemical activity will be much more higher. Whereas in a region like desert, where there is more temperature changes and less rainfall changes, temperature changes, that means what? Physical changes will be more operating. Physical changes will be operating more. Now that's what you see. They bring changes in landforms by external agents like water, air, glacier, sea wave, underground. These erosional processes erode the rocks, transport the eroded materials and deposit them in certain places. Now you see, now that you have understood that a rock which is formed on the earth's surface, you see the example here. Mountain is created. Mountain is nothing but a rock which has been uplifted. This uplifted rock is not constant. This is once again subjected to forces on the exterior of the earth. Exterior of the earth's surface. So that is the atmosphere. The atmosphere agents like weathering and temperature and rainfall, it is making it to disintegrate. Once it is disintegrated, because of gravity, it is moving. There are also landslides, avalanches. All these things will make it what? Will make the mountain to create the whatever the mountain landform which is created, there will be deposition. So what is saying? Once the mountain is created, now erosional processes will happen where they will erode the rocks, transport the eroded rocks and deposit them in certain places. In this process, they create different erosional and depositional landforms of different magnitude. You see, they create erosional features, they create depositional features. All are different and all are of different magnitude. So all these things are nothing but geomorphic processes only. What is the chapter today, my dear friends, are we discussing? Geomorphic movements. What is geomorphic movements? Geomorphic means, I told you, Earth's movements. All these Earth's movements are predominantly because of endogenetic and exogenetic forces. This combined thing which we discuss is called endogenetic and exogenetic forces. Now that we have discussed about the Earth's movements or the geomorphic processes, we have this in order. We have two things. You see here, exogenetic forces and endogenetic forces are there. Exogenetic, exo means outside, genetic means force creating. So forces which are acting outside the Earth's surface, within the Earth's atmosphere. Outside the Earth's surface means in the Earth's atmosphere. And what are the forces we have? Weathering. We will discuss this in detail later on. As of now, please remember, weathering means disintegration of rock particles formed by elements of weather and climate. And this could be physical in nature, chemical in nature, and biological in nature also. You see rats, rodents. What do rodents do? Rodents will try to erode the region, biological erosion. And once this erosion is occurring, we have agents of erosion like ice, river, sea, wind, underground water, all these things which create multiple landforms. My dear friends, please understand, all this will create multiple landforms. Now, this is about exogenetic. Let us discuss one of the important thing called endogenetic forces. Now, endogenetic forces are two varieties. What are they? Diastrophic and sudden movements. What are sudden movements? Sudden movements are movements which are where the movement is very, very sudden, like an earthquake. Movement is very sudden, where we are having, and these forces are also coming from the interior of the earth. Volcano, which is sudden, forces which is coming from the interior of the earth. So sudden forces which are coming from the interior of the earth are called as, are part of the endogenetic forces, and these are sudden. Predominantly the sudden forces which you can distribute are earthquake and volcanoes. Are you getting my points, my dear friends? Is it clear? Now please understand these geomorphic processes. Sudden forces. So these sudden forces of earthquakes and volcanoes, what happens? They are formed by sudden forces deep within the earth, and sudden and rapid, and these are a result of long period disturbances. Result of what? Long period disturbances on the earth's surface, in the earth's interior. You take an earthquake. What is an earthquake? Is it not release of energy? Whatever the energy which is trapped in the rock molecules in the interior of the earth, that sudden release of energy is called earthquake. So the long period disturbances which are occurred in the interior of the earth, which have been suddenly released, are called as sudden forces. Now we will see the diastrophic forces. So what is diastrophic forces? You see, all processes that move, elevate or build up portions of the earth's crust come under diastrophism. What is diastrophism? All portions. Yes, any doubts? Okay, no doubts, all of you are getting things. So what is the diastrophism? All processes that move, elevate or build up the portions of the earth's crust come under diastrophism. Please understand these words. These are very important, but to understand some pure geography, how does it functions and all these things. And these diastrophic forces are both vertical and horizontal. Both vertical and horizontal. And one of the most important thing, they operate very, very, very slowly. This very, 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 very slowly, you can enlarge it as much as possible, my dear friends. To take an example, like how to understand geomorphology very easily is, you take a CCTV camera, install a CCTV camera at a place in the space and keep it for hundreds of years, not 1 or 2 days, hundreds of years, and watch the video at 2000x. Normally in YouTube you can find it, right? 100, 1x, 2x, 3x. Watch the video at 2000x. you will find the land is changing slowly. That slow changes which operate very, very slowly are called as diastrophic forces, my dear friends. What is diastrophic force? The forces which are operating, which are moving the earth's crust, elevating the earth's crust, building up the portions of the earth's crust are called diastrophism. And these are vertical and horizontal, and they operate very, very, very slowly. As they operate very, very slowly, the better way to understand these things is diastrophic process. The better way to understand is understanding an Earth's surface by creating a video of the Earth's crust for thousands of years and watching them for 2000, 20,000 x also. So that means long-term changes of the Earth's surface is what is called diastrophism. And they include what? The horizontal and vertical ones include orogenetic forces and epi-orogenetic processes. Now, what is epi-orogenetic? Epi-orogenetic. Epio means continent. Epio means continent. Orogenetic means epioro means continent. Genesis means origin. Genetic means origin. Continent origin. So epi-orogenetic means it involves uplifting or upwarping of large parts of the Earth's crust. Epi-orogenetic involves means what? Uplifting or upwarping of large parts of the Earth's crust. Now you see here, endogenetic movements. This is an overall understanding. Endogenetic forces cause two types of movements in the earth, horizontal and vertical movements. What are they? Horizontal and vertical movements. Sudden forces that create relief like volcanic mountains. Diastrophic movements have high intensity and they act very slowly, millions of years. Just now we are discussing diastrophic movements have high intensity, is very high, but they act very slowly, millions of years. Epi-orogenetic means how the continent have originated, means continent origin. These forces cause upliftment and subsidence of continental masses, and that means we have discussed in the first session first order landforms, second order landforms which are created of the first order. That means the only thing which you find on the earth surface from outer space is continent and ocean. How continents are created, how oceans are created, that is called epi-orogenetic. And these are movements are here are vertical, not horizontal, my dear friends. That means that surface is either uplifted. If this is the earth's surface, a block of the earth, it can be either uplifted because of the forces of the interior, it can be uplifted, or it can be subsided because of the forces of the interior. Now we all know that interior forces. Why do you are finding the interior of the forces? We don't understand much interior forces, but endogenetic forces are nothing but formed because of contraction and expansion of rocks deep inside the earth's surface. Because of different thermal conditions. Please remember this word. Endogenetic forces are nothing but they are formed because of contraction and expansion of rocks inside the earth's crust, which itself are caused because of different thermal conditions. And the horizontal vertical movements, that means up and down of the crust, which is called subsidence. Downward movement is called subsidence. Is called because of is formed because of epi-orogenetic. You see, emerge. We have discussed India's landmark, India's coastline. India's coastline is nothing but uplifted coastline and emergent coastline and submergence coastline. Remember Dwarka? Submergence, emergent coastline and submergence. So, how this downward movement and upward movement is happening? That is called epi-orogenetic. And epi-orogenetic forces ones which uplift or warping means upwarping, downward warping means nothing but movement of the earth of large parts of the earth crust is called warping. So this is what is called epi-orogenetic forces, my dear friends. Epi-orogenetic creates forces what? They create continents and oceans. And these are two words, upward and downward, which is nothing but subsidence. Then we have orogenetic movements. Orogenetic. What are orogenetic movements? Movements which are formed because of tension and compression. Tensional compression forces are called as orogenetic forces. Now what is orogenetic? You see here. Orogenetic processes include mountain building through severe folding and affecting long and narrow belts of the earth's crust. Severe folding and affecting long and narrow belts of the earth's crust. Now oro means what? Now here orogenetic means what? Oro means mountain. Genetic means genesis, origin, mountain origin. So orogenetic process precisely explain how do second order landforms are created. My dear friends, please understand. Epi-orogenetic forces. This will help in understanding how to first order landforms are created. Orogenetic forces help in understanding second order landforms. That means why do mountains, plateaus, plains are created. And exogenetic forces, third order landforms. Am I clear, my dear friends? Yes, some people are having some buffer again. I think it is buffering for them. I think the issues have resolved now, I think, right? Okay. So what is epi-orogenetic? I am telling you again. Epi-orogenetic process involve uplift or warping of large parts of the earth's crust. Say, I'll study some words, you will understand. The epi-orogenetic word consists of two words, epiros meaning continent, genesis meaning origin. So epi-orogenetic movements cause upliftment and subsidence of continental masses. Upliftment and subsidence. These forces and resultant movements affect large parts of the Earth's crust. These are further divided into two types, upward movement and downward movement. When a continent upward movement causes upliftment of the entire continental mass in two ways, upliftment of the whole continent or a part thereof. Okay, you see, downward movement causes subsidence of the continental masses in two ways, subsidence of land area. Such type of downward movement is called subsidence. Alternatively, the land area near the sea coast is moved downward or is subsided below the sea level and is thus submerged under seawater. Such type of downward movement is called submergence. You see, my dear friends, what is epiorogenic involves two things, upward and downward. It involves two things, upward and downward. So the upward movement, okay. So upward and downward is could be of the entire continent, my dear friends. Continent, how do continents have originated? How do oceans have originated? In simple way, if the entire continent is uplifted, that is called epiorogenic. Entire continent is downlifted, that is called downwarding. So it's a very difficult thing to understand. I guess you will have lots of doubts with epiorogenic. I can understand, but you need to. But you need to get it from the understanding the upwarding and downwarding. The upward and the downward movements you need to understand in a sense that upward and downward you need to understand in a simple way that the how do big continents and oceans are formed. Okay, when a part of the continent is continuously uplifted, when a part of ocean is continuously downwarded, is called epiorogenic forces. Now come to orogenic forces, my dear friends. Orogenic forces are forces which are coming within the interior of the forces which are how do mountains are originated, and these orogenic mountains are two varieties. Now orogenic, it is more horizontal in nature. More horizontal and less vertical. My dear friends, please understand. Orogenic forces more horizontal. So it is not vertical. Entire orogenic forces are horizontal in nature. So this involve mountain building through severe folding and affecting long-term narrow belts of the Earth's crust. Now let us see the example. Now fold mountains is one of the examples are now that we have discussed that second order landforms are formed by orogenic landforms or orogenic processes. The word orogenic mean derives from two words. Oro means mountain, genesis means origin. Orogenic movement is caused due to endogenic forces working in a horizontal manner. So it remember horizontal manner. So there are two varieties of horizontal forces, tensional forces and divergent forces. Tensional forces and divergent forces. You see this word here, tensional and divergent forces. Now tensional forces. What are tensional forces, my dear friends? Tensional forces are forces which are away from each other. When the crust is moving away, it is tensional. When the crust is moving towards, it is compression. When the thrust is moving away, it is tension. When it is moving towards each other, it is compression. So tensional forces, what do they create? They create rupture, cracks, fracture, faults in the crustal parts of the earth. So orogenic forces are when tensional forces moving away, compression forces moving towards each other. Now you see the example here, fold mountains. These mountains constitute the highest and the extensive mountain ranges on the earth's surface. And how are they formed? They are formed due to folding of the crustal rocks by compressive forces generated by endogenetic. Now forces are coming towards each other. Compressive means towards each other. When horizontally the rock surface are compressed towards each other, what is happening here? You see the rocks, they are squeezed. You see here, they are squeezed, folded and uplifted. Because they are squeezed, folded and uplifted, we are finding it as fold mountains. They are found in every continent: Andes, Rockies, Alps, Himalayas and Andes mountains. Okay, Andes again leave it. So they are found in every continent like Andes mountains, Rocks mountains, Alps, Himalayas. Just a minute. Okay. So what are fold mountains? Fold mountains are mountains which constitute the highest and the extensive mountain ranges on the earth's surface. They are formed due to folding of the crustal rocks by compressive forces generated by endogenetic forces. When crustal planes move towards each other, they are squeezed, folded and uplifted. The squeezed, folded and uplifted is what is called fold mountains. They are formed in every continent like Andes, Rockies and mountains. So you see here, you see in the picture here, the rock surfaces are continuously subjected to horizontal forces where the rock is subjected to forces which are compressing. As they are compresses, the rocks or the crustal plates move towards each other, squeezed, folded and uplifted. Remember the example fold mountains, how are they created? Because the portion of the rocks is horizontally moving up. You see, once the subduction has happened in the fold mountains as part of the plate tectonics, what is happening? The two plates are moving towards each other. When two plates are moving towards, is it not horizontal, my dear friends? It is horizontal. As it is horizontal moving towards each other, the rock surface are squeezed, folded. Because of this, fold mountains are created. You see the words here. Fold mountains are created when two or more of the Earth's tectonic plates are pushed together. When they are pushed together, as they collide, they compress the boundaries. Rocks and debris are warped. Warped means nothing but pushing towards each other. As they are warped and folded into rocky outcrops, hills, mountains and entire mountain ranges. This is what is called fold mountains, my dear friends. Then you also have fault mountains. Fault mountains or block mountains. Now what is faulting? Faulting is nothing but fault is a fracture in crustal rocks wherein the rocks are displaced along the plane. Now imagine the force is acting in this manner. Now what is happening? Because the force is acting in this manner, there will be a fault line which is created. You see here, fault line. Now imagine here, you can see in this picture here, you see this portion is here now. And this portion, so A portion is here, A, B is here, C is here, C, right? So what happened? How could the rock surfaces continuously will be in this fashion? Along this fault line, Now I'll draw the fault line in a different color. You see, the blue color line is the fault line. Along the fault line, along this fault line, you can find that the rocks are moving up and down. The rocks are moving up and down. So this, why it is happening? It could be because this portion of the rock might either be downwarded or this portion of the rock might be uplifted. Are you getting the point, my dear friends? So what is that? Block mountains or fault mountains are as they are formed because of faulting. Faulting is nothing but a fracture zone in the crustal rocks wherein the rocks are displaced along a plane. They represent the upstanding portions of the ground between two parts. Vosges Mountains and Black Forest Mountains of Europe are one of the examples. You can see here. So what happens? So either this portion might be downwarded, this portion might be upwarded. Whatever is happening, you don't know why it is happening. You see here. This is the first picture. In the first diagram, what happened? You see here, this is moving this way. When two forces moving away, this forces might be uplifted or this might be upward. Because of this, block mountains are created. So now what is this block mountains or for these things? Orogenetic forces, and these are tensional forces. So fault mountains or faulting is a tensional force where the force is away, and compression force is where the force is towards each other. And there is also another force, my dear friends, shear force, where sliding past one another, which is also occurring horizontally. Transverse. So in that way, please simply understand. Now, what is the outcome of this session? The outcome of the session is very clear, my dear friends. A simple aspects. What is orogenetic forces? Forces which are occurring from the interior of the earth. Forces which are occurring from the interior of the earth, where there is horizontal movement of the earth is orogenetic, and this orogenetic might be towards each other, might be away from each other. Towards each other, compressional force, example folding. Away from the each other, fault tensional force, example faulting. Am I clear, my dear friends? So the outcome is land geomorphic processes or the earth's movements. How is the earth material moving? The earth material is moving because of geomorphic processes. These geomorphic processes are a product of endogenetic and exogenetic. Endogenetic forces are forces which are coming from the interior of the earth. So, interior of the earth which are horizontal in nature, which are vertical in nature. Forces which are coming from the interior of the earth which are vertical in nature. Those are first order landforms, and those forces are called epi-orogenetic. And forces which are horizontal are called as orogenetic. And these create second order landforms like mountains, plateaus. When we discuss fault mountains, you will understand this process very clearly. This is just for understanding. And exogenetic forces create third order landforms. Exogenetic forces create third order landforms. So this is the learning review for geomorphic movements, my dear friends. You need not go through very detail. Just understand that how do endogenetic forces and exogenetic forces create relief on the earth. Don't go in depth. In depth is understanding for optional. Whereas for a general study student, we just need to know these words, that there is something called diastrophism, which includes forces from the interior of the earth. It could be horizontal and vertical. Horizontal is orogenetic and vertical is epiorogenetic, which creates first order, and orogenetic creates second order. And once the earth surface has created relief on the earth surface, it is subjected to exogenetic forces, where there will be weathering, erosion and deposition. That will be called exogenetic forces, my dear friends. These are the ones which you need to remember. That's it, nothing much. I hope you are very much clear now. You are understanding these things very clearly. Moving forward, that's it about today's learning review. And as part of my brainstorming, I have already told you these are the things which you have. Human wildlife contact questions. I have told you answer writing practice for mains. I have started. Answer writing practice. These are the questions. 5 questions, and I'll be discussing all these 5 questions on June 17th in Unacademy special class. June 17, 12:30 p.m. Unacademy special class. I will be explaining all these 5 questions. You can come and join. Okay. So this is my brainstorming sessions. Please write, think, study about all these things. Come to the session. And these are the things which I am doing as of now. Regular sessions on geography. Mains writing way, answer writing is on the way. That's what you got it right now. We are doing it. Special classes where we are discussing some current affairs also. MCQ practice is regularly done on geography and environment. Today I have done on economy. You can go and watch them. And there are also subscription courses on my course which you can check, where I'll be discussing topic wise previous year questions of all the years from 95 to 2019. Topic wise previous year questions in geography I have completed. I'm going to start now in environment. Please like, comment, share about my videos so that you will understand these things, act as a review for other aspirants. Like this video, comment in the comment section, not in the chat, live chat. Share it to as many people, and this is my Telegram channel, Crack UPSC CSE with Venkatesh Imani. You can get my questions here, all the questions and daily updates. Please get into the Telegram channel, Crack UPSC CSE with Venkatesh Imani, and this is my phone number. And please don't forget to hit the bell icon for notifications. Subscribe to Unacademy's YouTube channel, and in the Unacademy app, subscribe it using my code VE10 to get around 10% discount. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Please, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow with the continuation of the sessions.